The Portfolio Kanban Cumulative Flow Diagram, or CFD, is a powerful visualization tool that helps you analyze data related to your portfolio items and helps you identify bottlenecks, monitor work progress, and predict project completion dates. The Portfolio Kanban CFD shows the total number of the selected type of portfolio items for the selected team or project that are in each schedule state that is defined for the Portfolio Kanban on a given date. Each schedule state shows as a color-coded band across the CFD. To view the cumulative flow diagram from the Portfolio Kanban page, select Charts at the top of the page and then select the Cumulative Flow tab. Select the portfolio item type that you want to view from the Portfolio Item field. Select the calendar in the Start Date and End Date fields to define the date range for the data in the CFD. By default, the cumulative flow diagram selects a 1-month period. However, you can expand that date range to identify patterns and trends over a longer time frame. Select an option from the settings on the right of the CFD to update your view. Hover over any point in the CFD for additional details for a specific day. A vertical line appears to help indicate the specific day that you are viewing on the time axis. A horizontal line shows either the work in progress, or WIP, flow time, or the time taken for all work to move to the final state, typically accepted or released. A tooltip shows the number of items that were in each flow state and the number of items that moved into each flow state or arrival for the selected date. You can choose to show values in the tooltip for all flow states or for the specific flow state that your cursor is hovering over. To return to the board view, select Board at the top of the page. You can change the CFD settings on the right pane of the CFD to adjust your view of the data and the patterns that are represented. Adjusting how the data is represented makes it easier to focus on your team's needs. The Settings pane is divided into the following sections: Metrics, States, State Tooltips, and Color Scheme. Select the Metrics toggle to open the Metrics window to see additional data related to the cumulative flow diagram. You can view how long it generally takes your team to burn down WIP in a state, see if your team is typically within their WIP limits, and how quickly items arrive in each state. Are your teams able to consistently deliver value, or do they get blocked, stall, and experience flatline patterns? Switch between the tabs in the tooltips to view additional information. Select the checkbox for each state that you want to display in the CFD. Clearing the checkbox for a state removes that state from the CFD. You can select multiple states to compare activity between them. The states that display are the schedule states that are defined for the Portfolio Kanban. The schedule states are defined at the workspace level and should be consistent across all teams and projects. Next to each state option, select Rate Lines to display the rate lines and see how fast items move to completion in the final flow state, typically accepted or released. The state must be selected to add the associated rate line to the CFD. The State tooltip displays when you hover over any point in the Portfolio Kanban CFD. The Items column shows the number of items and the WIP limit for that flow state for the selected date. If no WIP limit is defined, this column shows the infinity symbol for the WIP limit. The Arrival column shows the number of items that moved into each flow state on the selected date. Your selection in the State Tooltip section of the Settings pane affects the data in the tooltip and how the CFD itself behaves. There are two options in this section. First, State. With this option selected, the tooltip shows items and arrival data for the flow state that you are currently hovering over. As you hover over a flow state, that state is highlighted and the other states are dimmed. When using the State option, the horizontal line in the diagram shows the WIP flow time. With the System option selected, the tooltip shows items and arrival data for all flow states in the CFD. The flow state bands do not change as you hover over them. When using the System option, the horizontal line shows the amount of time it took for the total number of items across all flow states to move from the first flow state to the last flow state for the selected date. You can choose from two color schemes when viewing the Portfolio CFD. Qualitative assigns a color to each flow state and alternates between lighter and darker colors to make it easier to distinguish between states. Sequential assigns colors to each state that are gradients of the same color family and move from light to dark. This option is designed to improve content perception for users with visual disabilities. Now you should understand how to view and configure the settings for the Portfolio Kanban Cumulative Flow diagram.